84-4 flight, roger.
Ready to go at 50 below, you have to know how to function in the Arctic. It is like living on the moon.
The Alaska Army National Guard serves one of the most remote, geographically diverse, and unforgiving regions of the United States.
Clear to land.
Clear to land for Yeti 44.
The Guard's mission is twofold, supporting both the state and nation.
We're very close to a known adversary. It's on Alaska. It's on us to defend our homeland.
My name is Naveed Jamali. I'm a journalist, a veteran, and a former spy. On Unconventional, it is my honor to witness the passing of the torch, to tell the stories of the young women and men who serve in a changing world, and a military balancing tradition and change. For the next 36 hours, I'll be embedding with the Alaska Army National Guard to find out what it takes to uphold their mission while operating in extreme conditions.
So it's been a lot, and we're not even at Alaska yet. We're maybe halfway there. We left Newark, New Jersey, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is now 8 p.m. in Seattle, Pacific. So we're scheduled to arrive 12 a.m. in Anchorage time, or 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
12 hours after leaving New Jersey, we finally arrive in Alaska.
Oh my God! Holy shit! That's amazing.
Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson is nestled in between the city of Anchorage and the breathtaking Chugach Mountains. The base is not only home to the Alaska Army and Air National Guard, but also some impressive wildlife, like bald eagles, among other birds of prey.
That's so cool. It's an F-22 Raptors. There it goes, going straight up.
Surrounded by the ocean and Canada, and separated from the rest of the country by over 1,000 miles, Alaska is so isolated that many locals compare living and working in the largest U.S. state to being on an island.
When you're on an island, you're on your own. You have to be self-sufficient. It forces us to be better aviators.
They say practice makes perfect, and flying through the mountains of Alaska, there's no margin for imperfection. To see how the Alaska Army National Guard maintains that rigid standard, I'm flying on a Chinook helicopter, executing a complex sling-load training mission.
We're gonna go with 2 Chinooks, 1 Blackhawk. We're gonna go through the mountains behind us, out to the bay. Then we're gonna come back and we're gonna pick up what's known as the SUSV, which is like this 2-track vehicle with 2 compartments. And then they're gonna drop us and the SUSV off in the mountains, and we're gonna drive back in the SUSV to here. I feel like we prepare as much as we can for this, but I have 0 idea what to expect.
The SUSV is a great vehicle for getting across Alaska, the tundra, the mountains, the unique environments. A lot of times we have situations where there might be a state disaster, or we're trying to build an expeditionary base, and we need to be able to agilely move those pieces of equipment, both in a combat environment and in a civil environment.
This training incorporates several unique elements, from treetop flying while slinging a SUSV to formation flying with different types of helicopters. Maintaining these skills is vital for these aviators and crew to conduct missions for the Alaska Army National Guard.
Chinooks tend to do heavy lift missions. Apaches obviously do attack missions. Something that's very unique to Alaska is those missions overlap quite a bit. We might have a situation where we need to move a lot of people out of a remote area, but we also need to move equipment. So now you have a Chinook and a Blackhawk flying together.
There's a lot of things about this helicopter that look different from other Blackhawks I've seen in the lower 48. Can you walk us through externally what makes this aircraft different and how those differences allow you to operate in Alaska?
So the biggest thing that makes us different than anywhere else, potentially around the United States, is that we operate with skis. We don't just operate with skis on in the wintertime, we operate with them year round. It allows us to give us great capabilities out in the muskeg, in the tundra, in the soft earth that is around Alaska. It's not all hard rock and paved roads. So it does give us quite a bit of capabilities to land off-site, off hard pack, to perform our missions as needed. What also allows us to do that is the extended fuel cells.
So these things are critical for the missions in Alaska?
Absolutely. The external fuel cells exceed our range approximately by about 2 hours, give or take.
Maximizing aircraft range is critical to operating in a state that's more than twice the size of Texas, especially because driving isn't usually an option.
If you look at the map, we don't have a whole lot of roads. And I've heard that Delaware, for example, has more roads than we do.
Preparing the SUSV for a sling load begins more than 24 hours before takeoff in the hangar.
For this specific SUSV, there's going to be multiple rigging points of it, which is going to be like these outlets right here. And so what they're doing over there right now is taking apart the sling loads to re-rig them to actually bring them from multiple locations on this one and the actual front piece of it to get it all rigged up into a single point so we can lift it via the center cargo hook.
That's good.
Then, the aircraft must be prepped and crews must be briefed before the helicopters launch.
Good environment. Yep. 100%. Lead change.
As we get ready for day 3 here to actually launch and fly, you know, you sort of feel this game day. You're not sure exactly what to expect.
What we do is dangerous, but on the same note, as long as we're following our TTPs and we're doing our procedures, that's what makes this where we can safely go out and fly.
Yeah, let's do it.
We will get it a little bit tighter, like especially back here in the back.
Okay.
Okay. So you're flying with me, right? I'll be the one in the back calling the load and everything, and doing all that fun stuff. So I'm feeling good. I'm definitely feeling excited.
This is 4-4. We plan on making our takeoff from here. We'll make our left turn up, runway 35, cut in the corner here, and then we'll be departure for Eagle River Valley. Engine oil level low. Engine 1, engine oil level low. It looks like quite a bit of oil behind your left half ski. Good pack, they should come in. Aft ready. Forward ready.
You throw. It's puking oil.
We actually had an engine oil level low light come on, master caution. It's something that you don't want to do, just like with your car, you get a check engine light, you don't want to keep driving, especially with low engine oil. So we decided to come back, shut down, and bump aircraft and bump crews. It did not have that big of an impact for us because we were already set up and had a contingency in place to go ahead and continue the mission of what we were going to accomplish for the day.
And just like that, we're on to Plan B. The crews don't miss a beat as they get ready to sling the SUSV.
There's basically 2 sling sets that are attached to that SUSV. So we got 8 sling legs coming into 2 clevises, coming into 1 single point hook. So yeah, it was very complex. That was probably the first one that I've done that was that complex with an articulating piece of equipment. But I think it went very smooth.
There's 10,000, thousands of pounds of aircraft, thousands of pounds of SUSV, and there's you with that shepherd pole just pulling up the cable. What goes through your mind?
Well, it's second nature anymore. You know, I have over 3,300 hours in this thing, and I've done plenty of sling loads. You know, you train to standard, and it's just one of those things that becomes second nature if you do it enough. And that's what we do here, is we train to standard and be able to accomplish a mission as easy and as efficiently as possible.
Harnessing the SUSV to a moving helicopter was only the beginning. Sergeant Maddox spent the entire flight halfway out the Chinook, with his finger hovering over a trigger to release the load if anything went south.
My whole purpose was to be laying there watching that sling load in case of something had happened. I'm calling out everything that it's doing so the pilots aren't going to be surprised by that sling load coming up too far and then pulling the aircraft forward on them. I was moving my hand to and from the center underneath the seat there. That's where I had my hoist operator's grip. If there was an emergency, that button on that hoist operator's grip is what would have released that entire load from the aircraft.
The crew successfully drops off the SUSV and me. And in comes the Black Hawk, or, well, just check it out for yourself. While it was just another day in Alaska for the Guard members, watching the Black Hawk buzz us in the middle of this beautiful landscape made it hard for my frozen face mask to contain my smile.
That was awesome. Oh.
That flight did not suck. That is the best way I can describe it. It was just perfect. The airmanship, the flying with a Black Hawk around here, it was just, I mean, and the beauty of Alaska. This is why we came here.
It's okay, the airbag will save us, right?
Yes, no, it doesn't have any.
It's like way more treacherous than the fucking helicopter flying.
Today the Guard was slinging a military vehicle, but the same operation could be used to support all kinds of community, state, and federal missions.
So we do what's called innovative readiness training, and that's where we can be asked to support a community in a way that they may not have the asset to accomplish something that they need to do to support their community. So like, for example, we've slung a skid steer out to a community because that's something that they need to do for maintenance purposes, snow removal, whatever. And so those are unique mission sets that we do that directly impact local communities.
So it's a way of getting training hours that you guys might need on the federal side, but also helping a local community?
Absolutely, absolutely. We're impacting Alaskans in very unique ways, just like this.
Captain Lopez was part of the team that airlifted Bus 142, the so-called Magic Bus, out of the Alaskan wilderness. The bus had gained notoriety from the movie Into the Wild, and after 2 hikers died trying to find it, officials decided to move the bus to a museum.
When we did Magic Bus, we camped out there the night before because there's no accommodation, so we're out there in tents. We're chopping down trees to make sure that the helicopter can fit into the area where we slung the bus out. So we got guys out there with chainsaws, cutting down trees and clearing in areas. You just have to always be improvising. And Alaska's wild. You kind of never know what you're gonna get with it.
No pun intended, right?
Right, yeah.
It takes a special type of person to want to join the Alaska Army National Guard. You have to have that sense of adventure.
Seeing the state's beauty and the rugged challenges that accompany it, I can understand what draws people to Alaska and the Alaska National Guard.
You're volunteering on two different levels. I think the reason why people join the Guard in any state, but especially in Alaska, is because you want to serve your state. You want to be able to be in a position to help your neighbor, to help your parents, to help your friends, or just help your fellow Alaskans. There's only 750,000 of us in such a large state. So we want to make sure that we're prepared to support our Alaska family.
It's not just about flying super cool missions through the picturesque mountains. There's a broader responsibility that's unique to the Alaska National Guard.
There's been a lot of people who have said we're the most strategic spot on the globe. I agree. It is partly our natural resources, but it's our proximity to the places we need to go. We are the top cover for America. I believe that to my core.
Wrapping up my 36 hours in Alaska, the phrase I keep coming back to is rugged beauty. What makes Alaska dangerous is also what makes it so intoxicating. Here, it is possible to completely disappear, and tasks that would be mundane anywhere else come with peril. To live here is to embrace self-sufficiency.
So I have to be on my toes, I have to be vigilant. No day, no flight, like you said earlier, is ever the same. It is always different and it's always new. It's exciting, but it's also frightening from a perspective of, you have to plan, you have to know what your skills and your limitations are so you don't put yourself in a bad situation.
John Muir, known as the patron saint of the American wilderness, called Alaska one of the most wonderful countries in the world. After spending 3 days with the Alaska Army National Guard, I couldn't agree more.